Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so happy to have you on here, and I hope you guys can try these mandalas and have a fun time doing it. So before we get started on the mandala design, I'm going to explain our tools. So the tools I use are color-coded, so they have a color on the top of the tools. When you buy them off of Temu or Amazon, they usually just come clear. So first off, for the twirly tools, I do not use the green twirly for any of my tutorials, so you can set this one aside. As for the rods, the largest two rods, I, again, also do not use for any of my tutorials, but if you're doing like a bigger project on your own time, then of course you can use these. So now to help you understand what I have color-coded, you can lay them out biggest to smallest. The biggest one, which is the green one, next size down, we have it marked as the blue stick. And then next size down after the blue is the white stick. After the white stick, it's the yellow stick. And then we have the pink stick. And then last but not least, trying to pick them up, is the black stick. And then of course we have the twirlies. These are self-explanatory. They are color-coded already. You can color code them yourself. We use just nail polish on the tops of the tools. We can get started with the design now. For today's class, we're going to be using this color palette. For paint color number 1, we're using Deco Art Americana Snow Titanium White. Paint color number 2 is Craft Smart Dark Yellow. Paint color number 3 is Craft Smart Orange. Paint color number 4 is Deco Art Americana Honey Brown. Paint color number 5 is Craft Smart Multi-Surface Cocoa Bean. And paint color number 6 is Craft Smart Olive Green. Okay, so we are going to practice real quick how to make these sunflowers and these smaller flowers, and just kind of practice these swishes. So we're gonna start with the sunflower. So we're going to use the white stylus, white stick, and the scriber tool. And you can use the same color for all these steps. I'll just use different colors so that it's easier for you guys to see. You guys can use any color as long as it's visible on your sheet of paper. So to start off, we're going to take the white stick, dip it in the paint, and place a dot. Then you can either wipe that tool or just set it aside. Then we're going to take the white stylus, bigger end, and we're going to place 8 dots. So, oh, I'm sorry, smaller end of the white stylus. So 2 dots across from each other like that. And then 2 like this, so that you get these 4. And then in each gap, you'll place another dot. And then once you've made those dots, we're gonna take the scriber tool, and making sure you push very gently so that you don't rip the paper, or when we do it on the gnome, so that you don't scratch the paint. You're just going to very carefully drag the paint up, kind of like an opposite teardrop. And do this for every dot. So that is the first round of petals for our sunflowers. For the next round, we're again using the white stylus, the smaller end with that same petal color, and we're going to put it in between our teardrops, kind of like that. And then doing that same thing, dragging the paint down in between and also up.
So the paint's dragged both directions?
Yes. So I would recommend placing one dot at a time and then dragging out the paint, because then the dot might dry by the time you get around to dragging the paint. You could do 1 or 2 dots at a time. Okay, so now we're going to practice the little flowers. We're going to use the white stylus bigger end, and it's almost the same way as we did the sunflower. So you're just going to take the center color, place a dot, and then with the same size, you're going to place 5 dots around 5 or 6? 6, I'm sorry, 6. Around that center one. And then once again, using that scriber tool, kind of drag the paint up and away to create little petals. So next we're just going to practice making these vines that are gonna go like in between the flowers and the sunflowers. So I'm using the white stylus bigger end. And all it is basically a bunch of squiggly lines. So you're just gonna keep dragging out the paint. So make sure you get a lot of paint on your tool. And you're just gonna kind of keep making squigglies. It all depends on the space that you have in between your sunflowers, what kind of shape squiggly it's gonna end up being. But right now we're just practicing trying to get these squigglies as long as can be. And then I like to kind of join the ends so that it looks a little more cohesive. And then switching to the smaller end to kind of add some smaller little vines and stuff connecting to that main one. And then if you run out of paint on your switch and you can't drag it anymore, you can go ahead and re-dip. Just make sure after you re-dip, you don't start from the center here, because then it's going to leave kind of like it's not going to be a flush line. It's going to have bumps in it. So just start at the beginning and kind of keep dragging it along. Okay, and the last thing we're gonna practice is these kind of zigzag lines with the swishes. So you can do one drag and then wipe it, and then do another drag and then wipe it, and so on and so forth. But then it's gonna take a really long time, or you can use 2 different tools. Just keep one tool for one color and use the other tool for the other color, because like for example, the smaller side of the white stylus and the bigger side of the yellow, they are the same size. So you could do it like that. Or what I have found that's easier, especially for these zigzag lines, is you just do all the bottom ones first, but make sure that you leave that space in between that top swish is supposed to go through. So leaving a little bit of space. Kind of like this, and getting wider at the top, and then you could go back in with your other color and fill in those gaps. So this could be easier for you if you're just really consistent with the gaps in between the swishes. Then it's pretty easy. At least for me, I find it easier to do it this way. So just practice doing this swish, find which way is better for you, and trying to get these swishes as close to each other as possible without them touching and blending. So the first thing we're going to do is this border of swishes around the bottom of the hat. So just make sure that when you're doing the hat that you go with the curve of the hat. This is where that technique where if you do all the bottom ones first comes in handy, because then you can make sure you follow that curvature of the hat, so you're not making it a straight line across the hat and these end up being super short, these end up being super long, because it goes like this. So yeah, I like to start with the ones that go bottom up to make sure I know how high I'll be able to drag with one stroke, and then just do the bottom ones. So we're going to be using paint colors 5 and 6 for this. The white stylus smaller end. And again, if you're using a second tool to help you out, you can also use the pink stylus bigger end. It's the same size. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and start painting the sunflowers on the hat of the gnome. So I fit about 5 sunflowers in here. If you want, you can put more or less, but I think this is the perfect amount because it's not too crowded. Yeah. Lost my train of thought.
We're doing 5.
Yes, 5. So we're using paint colors 2 and 4. 4 for that center of the sunflower and 2 for the petals. So once again, I'll go over on how to make the sunflower. We'll take the white stick with paint color 4 and place a dot. So that's going to be our center of the sunflower. Then you're going to take the white stylus, smaller end, and we're going to place 8 dots around. So I like to place 2 across from each other like this, find the center, place 2 dots like that. Sorry? Yes, yes. And then in each gap, place another dot, so to end up with 8. And then once you get those 8 dots, once again with the scriber tool, just slightly spreading that paint up to a small little teardrop. And then once you get those first layer of petals, the second layer is the white stylus bigger end. And once again, we're dragging the dot up and down. Okay, next step, we're gonna use the white stylus smaller end, and we're gonna do those small orange flowers like this. So we're gonna use the white stylus and also the pink stylus. So white stylus, smaller end with the center color, which is number 2. You're going to place a dot. And then with pink color 3, you're going to place 6 dots around, or if it's hard for you to space it out evenly, you can place 2 dots across from each other like that, and then 2 dots on each side. And then using that scriber tool, you will kind of drag out the paint just a little bit.
What, can you say the sizes on the white stylus again?
Yeah, so the smaller end.
On both?
Yes, for everything, yeah. And then we'll use the pink stylus, smaller end, and just use that center color to put a small little dot in between each of the petals, like this. For those of you who are done with all the little flowers, you guys can move on to the vines that go in between. Could use depending on how big your gaps are, I'm gonna use the pink stylus because I don't have that much room, but you can use the white stylus bigger end if you have bigger gaps and you kind of want to fill that in more. So I like to do vines, and I also like to add little leaves to the sunflowers and to the smaller orange flowers. All it is two kind of small little drags towards each other with like a little gap in the middle. So you can either do one leaf or kind of give it a set of two, and just kind of do this on a couple of the flowers in awkward spots where you can't really put a vine maybe. But yeah, then just fill it up with vines. You can always practice on the paper more, but just kind of follow the shape that you're given, you know, the way your flowers are put, and just kind of weave your vines in between that.
You want us to use our imagination?
Yes.
Yeah.
This last time I took my stitching lessons, like she was great. She's like, oh, my mom stitches. I totally do it.
I'm in it. I'm here for it.
Okay, next we're gonna move on to the beard of the gnome. So we're just going to add one sunflower kind of to the side. And then you're gonna fill the rest of the space up with white dots, and if you want, a little bit of yellow dots here and there. And don't forget to do his hair piece. Hair piece here in the back. So for the sunflower, once again, white stick for the middle dot, and then the white stylus for the petals and the scriber tool. And then for the dots going around, just use the pink stick, black stick, and the white stylus to just kind of fill in the gaps with different sizes of dots.
Is it the little, it's the little side on the style, the white one, right? Is it the little one?
For the sunflower?
Yeah.
So for the first row of petals, the small, and then for the second row, the big. Yeah. So at this point, your hat should be fully dry, so you can grab onto it confidently, and we're going to color in the arms and gloves parts. So this, like the arm part is going to be paint color 6, the cuff is paint color 1, and the glove is paint color 2. So you'll just use the white stylus, bigger end, and just outline those little hands and arms.
Would you like it?
So for the body part on the gnome, we're going to use paint colors 3 and 4 to do more of this zigzags. You can use the smaller end of the white stylus and bigger end of the pink stylus, since those are the two same sizes. But for this part here where it gets really tall, you might need to use the bigger end of the white stylus. But yeah, that's it. So you're just going to do that zigzag all the way around.
And the brown is down.
Mm-hmm.
It's my first note. Bless you. That was amazing.
I feel like I still never make a sound when I sneeze, but sometimes that just hurts. You know, like to stifle a sneeze.
So for the very last step, you guys are going to use the yellow stylus, the smaller end. So a very tiny point. And using paint color 5, you're going to add some small dark brown dots in the center of the sunflowers. And with that being the last step, you guys are all done.